Orcas may look like the kings of the ocean, but what if I told you that being born an orca actually sucks? From living under constant human threats to suffering in captivity, their lives are filled with struggles we rarely see. Stay tuned, because today we're diving deep into the dark side of being an orca. Orcas, also known as killer whales, are among the smartest and most social creatures in the sea. They live in tight-knit families, they have their own languages, and they are apex predators at the very top of the food chain. But here's the twist. Behind their powerful image hides a life full of challenges and suffering. And once you know the truth, you'll never look at them the same way again. Life in the ocean is a daily battle for survival. An orca needs to eat up to 500 pounds of food every single day. That means they're always on the hunt. Fish, seals, sea lions, even other whales. But with climate change and overfishing by humans, it's getting harder and harder for them to find enough food. Imagine being born into a world where your very first lesson is simple: hunt or starve. That's the brutal reality of being an orca. For calves, survival lessons start early. The first thing they learn is how to copy their mother's hunting skills, how to track fish, and how to avoid predators. But what happens when the fish disappear? Entire pods can starve, leaving young orcas weak and malnourished from the start of their lives. But food isn't their only problem. Humans themselves are one of the biggest threats. Orcas face noise pollution from giant ships, toxins from industrial waste, and even military sonar that can disorient and sometimes kill them. Every time an orca dives into the deep, it's not just for food. It's also dodging invisible dangers that humans have put into the ocean. Their home is shrinking, their ecosystem is collapsing, and their survival is always at risk. Imagine being able to hear sounds from miles away, but not being able to escape the constant roar of ships above your head. For an orca, the ocean has gone from a place of freedom to a prison of noise. And then comes captivity, the darkest part of orca life. When captured for marine parks, they're ripped away from their families and forced to live in small tanks. In the wild, an orca can swim up to 100 miles a day. In a tank, they're left to circle the same tiny space over and over, day after day. Many captive orcas show signs of depression, aggression, and even self-harm. They grind their teeth on tank walls, they float listlessly at the surface, they lash out at trainers, and they suffer from collapsed dorsal fins, something rarely seen in the wild. The famous orca tilicum from the documentary Blackfish is a tragic example of what captivity can do. Imagine being born as one of the most powerful animals in the ocean, only to have your life reduced to splashing water on cheering crowds. But even in the wild, the emotional pain is real. Orcas are highly emotional beings with strong family bonds. Calves stay with their mothers for life. Families hunt together, travel together, and even mourn their dead together. Researchers have observed orca mothers carrying their dead calves for days, sometimes weeks, refusing to let go. That's how deep their emotions run. Yet in captivity, babies are often separated and sold to different parks, their cries echoing in the water as their mothers call out for them. And in the ocean, when food becomes scarce, families sometimes have to split apart just to survive. For an animal with intelligence and emotions so close to our own, that separation is devastating. Imagine being born knowing that you might never see your family again. And as if that wasn't enough, their lifespans are being stolen from them too. In the wild, orcas can live up to 70, even 90 years. But in captivity, many die before they even reach 20. Even in their natural habitat, pollution and food shortages mean many never make it to adulthood. Being born an orca isn't just hard, it's a constant fight against an early death. Scientists who study wild orcas often report heartbreaking statistics. Fewer calves are surviving each year, and some pods are shrinking to dangerously low numbers. One pod in the Pacific Northwest, known as the Southern Residents, is now critically endangered with only about 70 individuals left. For them, every birth matters. But every death is another step toward extinction. So why does it suck to be born as an orca? Because despite being one of the most powerful animals on the planet, their lives are overshadowed by hunger, human threats, captivity, family loss, and shortened lifespans. Behind the majestic image of the killer whale is a story of survival, because the struggles of an orca's life don't stop there. Orcas are born into a world where their intelligence is both their strength and their curse. They are problem solvers. They can learn complex tasks. They even pass knowledge down from generation to generation. That makes them one of the smartest creatures in the ocean, but it also means they are fully aware of their suffering. An orca knows when it is trapped. It knows when it is lonely. It knows when something is wrong. Imagine being an animal smart enough to understand your pain, but powerless to escape it. In the wild, their intelligence is a gift. Orcas use sophisticated hunting strategies, working together like a well-trained army. Some specialize in hunting seals by creating waves that knock them off ice floes. Others chase fish into tight balls, and then slap them with their tails to stun them. Each pod has its own traditions, its own culture, passed down from elders. But when orcas are born into a world where humans dominate the seas, that culture is dying. Noise pollution drowns out their calls, making communication harder. Without communication, their traditions fade. And with each lost tradition, another piece of orca culture disappears forever. And the ocean itself is changing. Melting ice, rising sea temperatures, disappearing fish populations. These are not just headlines. They are daily realities for orcas. Calves born today are stepping into a world that is less forgiving than it was for their ancestors. A world where survival is no longer just about hunting skill, but about dodging oil spills, avoiding tangled fishing nets, and coping with ecosystems that collapse more every year. For a newborn orca, the future is already uncertain the moment it takes its first breath. Then there is the issue of health. Orcas at the top of the food chain absorb every toxin that trickles up from smaller fish. Mercury, PCBs, and other industrial chemicals build up in their bodies. Mothers even pass these poisons onto their calves through their milk. Imagine that, being born, and the very first thing you ingest is poison left behind by humans. Scientists have found some orcas so contaminated with chemicals that their bodies would qualify as toxic waste if they washed up on shore. This is the invisible inheritance that every newborn orca carries, a body poisoned before it even has the chance to live. For many orcas, especially those in captivity, another painful reality is stress. Imagine being a highly social animal designed to live in a family group, but being locked away from others, or forced to interact with orcas from different pods that don't even speak the same dialect. Conflict is inevitable. Captive orcas often fight each other, leaving scars and injuries. There are documented cases of young calves bullied by older orcas because in a tank, there's nowhere to escape. Stress builds, leading to illness, weakened immune systems, and sudden deaths that often shock their trainers. For an animal designed to roam free, captivity is nothing less than a slow psychological breakdown. And the saddest part? Most of these struggles are because of us. Humans. We admire orcas, we use them in logos, we cheer for them in shows, we film them in documentaries, yet at the same time, we're the ones poisoning their oceans, starving them of food, and locking them in concrete tanks. Being born an orca means inheriting not just the beauty of the ocean, but also the burden of humanity's impact on the sea. But it's not just about survival, it's about freedom. Orcas are born into a world where their natural right to roam the seas is constantly under threat. Every orca calf enters life with uncertainty. Will I grow up free, swimming alongside my family for decades, or will I be captured, separated, and reduced to a life of entertainment? That's the cruel lottery of being an orca. Yet, despite all of this, orcas continue to show resilience. Stories emerge of mothers carrying calves for days, of pods protecting each other, of orcas still finding ways to hunt, thrive, and adapt. They are survivors in the truest sense. But resilience does not erase suffering. For every calf that survives, there are others that don't. For every pod that thrives, another struggles to find enough food. So why does it suck to be born as an orca? Because the ocean is no longer the safe, limitless home it once was. It is polluted, noisy, shrinking, and dangerous. Because captivity robs them of dignity, family, and freedom. Because intelligence becomes a curse when it means being aware of your own pain. And because no matter how strong, fast, or smart they are, the more people learn about the hidden struggles of orcas, the more voices rise to protect them. Campaigns to end captivity, laws to protect oceans, and awareness to stop overfishing are slowly making change. Maybe the next orca calf born into this world will inherit a brighter future, one where it can live a long, free life without suffering from human cruelty. But that depends on us. If you found this video eye-opening, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts about orcas, hit the like button to support awareness, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden lives of animals. Together, by spreading knowledge, we can give these magnificent creatures the respect, protection, and freedom they deserve. Because only then will being born an orca mean being born into the life they were always meant to live.